watching. You are watching.
You're watching. You guys are watching.
You're watching. Soulful discussion.
All right, so hi, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How about you?
Doing great. I'm doing great. And so, how did our paths just cross right now? How did we just meet?
Something was wrong with my car, and you so kindly came and asked me if I needed any help.
Yeah, I thought that you might have dropped something underneath, so I was like, man, let me see if she's okay, because it's always, kind of difficult, like your woman trying to come around. So I was like, if I could help you out with that, I was definitely going to do so. And then I approached you about what are we going to do right now?
We're going to talk about the mental health and that one word I cannot pronounce.
Reflexology.
Reflexology.
Absolutely. And so in terms of mental health, are there any topics that you follow closely, you kind of have a handle on, you like pay attention to?
I don't think I fully understand your question.
Oh, in terms of mental health, so like, are there any like, because like mental health is broken down to like different areas, so I want to know if there are any areas that you kind of follow and like look at that you're aware of.
Like in terms of myself or in like
just the world as a whole, like when it comes to mental health.
Especially after COVID, I feel like everything just kind of amplified mental health even more, and people maybe that they didn't even realize was an issue before. Because I feel like we as people, we all tend to compartmentalize.
That's true. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
And so today what we're going to be talking about, the two subjects that stand out are like depression and anxiety and how to deal with that. Like there's a pretty cool like method to deal with it that could be helpful to some people who deal with it. What about reflexology? You said you're not.
I'm not quite sure. I've
familiar.
never heard of that word before until you mentioned it.
Oh, cool. So we'll talk about that and then see what your feelings are about reflexology and what it can do for you. Okay. So let's get started with the questions. Okay. What's something you like that other people might find to be weird? And I'm using the term weird for a reason. It could just be a hobby you have that other people might find to be strange.
For me, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Because I don't really think about.
Yeah, you don't think about it.
Like right now, I don't really think about it. But if I were to pick something from maybe high school, it would be like watching anime, really being into like Marvel and like in Star Wars, like little stuff like that people are like, why are you so into that? That's so cringe.
It's the same thing for me. So right now as an adult, I still watch anime. Like I'm huge on anime. It's one of my favorite things to do. Just kind of like, it's something I can do to just kind of like let loose and just escape the real world for a little while. So I get you on that.
But yeah.
Absolutely. Has anyone ever made you feel insecure about your body or a body part?
Ooh, well, I've always been a heavier girl, and people will always ask me if I'm pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, no, I just ate, or no.
Oh, that's pretty bold.
Like, you know what I mean? It's as a woman, that's not exactly what you want to hear if you're not in the process of like.
Absolutely. That's I don't know what. So, do you still deal with that now, or do you kind of like already have a control over it in terms of like how people talk about it?
Yeah.
Like, so does it still bother you, or do you like it doesn't bother you?
No, it used to when I first started working retail, but after that I feel like I don't really pay attention to it anymore.
How did you get to the point where it doesn't like bother you as much?
Because I think just people, they don't mean it out of like being malice. They think because if they think you're pregnant, that's supposed to be a good thing, right? Like if it's supposed to be a happy time. They want to congratulate you and stuff like that. So I think that's just the kind of mentality I'm telling myself. Like, don't take it personal. Just it's a genuine question, and they're not meant to hurt you. It's just don't kind of take yourself out of that situation and sort of see why this person said the way that they said it.
Absolutely. If there was one thing you could change about yourself, right? It doesn't have to be physical, just anything. Somebody gave you the power to change whatever you want. What would it be?
To be more confident, maybe. I don't know. There are days where I still have a hard time just kind of accepting that I am like a strong person, that I am a good person, and oh my god, that's great.
So and I think here's the thing too, right? I think that you just doing this interview right now shows that you have some confidence.
Oh yeah, this is very out of my comfort zone.
I know. That, believe it or not, I tell people all the time, like when I'm doing interviews, like it may seem as though I'm comfortable, but I'm feeling like some of the same emotions you are, because these are not easy questions to ask, and being behind the camera, it's not that easy.
I know.
Let's get into these questions now. How do you feel about your feet? What are your thoughts?
My feet, well, right now they're a little crusty. They need some maintenance, but for the most part, I don't love my feet, but I don't hate my feet.
Okay, so you have like a love-hate relationship with it, or is it kind of like you're
in between? Like I don't necessarily love my feet, but it's not something where it's like ew, disgusting, like feet.
Okay, cool. Have you ever received any compliments on your feet before? Anybody ever said you had nice feet?
No, but there was a situation where one of my customers, because I actually work right here at this location, and they were telling me that they have a thing for feet, and
Oh.
I was just saying like, oh, I don't have pretty feet, I have ugly feet. He was like, oh, well, let me see, who told you you have ugly feet? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? All feet are beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm at work and I'm clocked in, so I can't quite show you. But
but it is true. So
you know
here's the
what?
thing: there are different, because like you have different sizes. You have some people have higher arches, lower arches.
Mhm.
Like there's beauty in like all areas, and even just in general in life, right? And a lot of things we see in life. Some people may like one flower, a lot of people like other flowers and things like that. There's beauty all around us. So,
yeah.
yeah. How would you feel if you did? So you said you never received compliments before. How would you feel if you did receive a compliment about that? Like, what would your thoughts be?
I think in the beginning I'll be kind of, how do I say it? Kind of feeling awkward about it for the same reason. It's just like I've never thought about my feet in that way before.
Yeah.
So it's in the beginning, I think I'll be kind of thrown off and not sure quite how to take it.
Yeah, that's understandable. Let me ask you this: is there a difference when you receive compliments, not just about your feet, but in general? When you receive compliments from men and women, is there a difference in how you feel about those compliments, or are they the same?
Sometimes. So what it is, it's if say like a woman were to compliment me, I can take it fine. You know, like we as women, I feel like we do that a lot with each other.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when it comes with like a guy complimenting me, it feels like I want to take it as a good way. Like, oh, you know what? They recognize that I'm maybe pretty, or they like my eyes, or they like my hair. But it's still something where I have a hard time accepting a compliment because I'm just that insecure where I'm like, oh, they're probably making fun of me, or they're probably just saying it just to get like a laugh from their friends.
Yeah, and here's what I've also found. So somebody I interviewed before, this is why I started asking this question. I asked somebody before, and she said that a lot of times women from a young age are taught to like be in competition with each other, like through society and things like that. And so when you get older and you receive compliments, like you said, from other women, you take it at like a higher regard. It feels good, as opposed to sometimes the compliments you can get from men, where it's like they're just complimenting you because they want something in return or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? Do you think that that's...
Yeah, and it's hard to verbalize that and to think about it in that way, but I think that is still very much a thing.
Yeah.
Only because it's like that's what society taught us, and it's one of those things where, especially like a minority group, because I'm Hispanic, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you have to be this kind of way, and then if someone else tells you, it's probably because they want something from you, or like they kind of teach you not to trust people.
Yeah. I mean, but that's understandable because like sometimes people don't really give you a reason to trust them, so I can understand like why you would say that. Like that's pretty good. I don't know if you're like married or dating right now.
I have a boyfriend.
Okay, so let's say you didn't, right? We're gonna just hypothetical. If you started dating somebody who was into feet, what would your thoughts be? How would you feel about that? I know that would probably be a new experience. So like
how would I?
Yeah, how would you feel about it? Do you want me to put context behind what I mean by that? So like, he likes you for you, right? Really, like, you know, he's in love with you or whatever like that, but he likes feet, and he wants to give you like foot massages, like rub on your feet, kiss on your feet, things like that. Is that something you're okay with, or is that be something like you're like, I draw the line at a certain area?
No, I mean, for me, I see it like if that's what you're into, I'm not gonna kind of take that away from you.
Yeah.
But it's also something that you have to allow me to kind of
be comfortable
with, build up to it, and then kind of have just conversations about it.
Okay.
But it's not something that I would necessarily be like, ew, no, I don't want to do that, because at the end of the day, it's like you're a person too, and you have things that you like.
We both have things, right?
So why should I take that away from you too?
So true. How often do you get pedicures?
Everything. I used to get them like every 2 weeks.
Okay. And have you ever heard of a medical pedicure before?
Yes, I've been watching so many of those videos with like the ingrown nail, and they literally have,
So you go to a podiatrist and they do all the work there, man. They take a look at your nails to see if they grow correctly, your toe alignment,
dude, it's
check
so
for dead skin, all
satisfying
that.
to watch.
Yeah, it's so I actually got this from a lady I interviewed before. She told me about it, and I had heard of podiatrists, but I didn't know if they were the ones that did like medical pedicures. And so she gave me like more information on it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Let me share that information. And so one of the people who watched my channel, he was like, he went and got one done. And he was like, man, it was such a good experience. It was relaxing. And he was like they use like medical like great equipment. So like it's not like when you go to like the nail salons and it's like you never know what they're doing, how clean they are. These people are like,
it's like
100%
in an actual
clean.
hospital, and then it's like they actually, it's going to be sanitized.
Sanitize everything, and so they do all the work there, and it's pretty cool. So I was like, man, that's really good. So they said you should go to somebody like that every 3 months or so to like keep the maintenance up.
That makes sense because in all the videos that I've seen, they talk about like all the dead skin that's in there, and then that piles up, and that's essentially
Fungus,
what causes
like
the
that.
pain. It's because like if you have an ingrown nail and you have a lot of dead skin underneath your toe already, that's just kind of pushing it in more, and that's what causes like a lot of the pain.
It's facts. And so yeah, they said you should go every 3 months or so. Just keep the maintenance up and make sure it doesn't get too bad down the road. How often do you wear open toe shoes, sandals, flip flops, things like that?
During the summer, I would say nearly every day.
Every day. Okay. How often do you go barefoot?
Ooh, as often as I can.
Really? Oh, so like pretty much when you're at home, you're like, I'm no shoes.
Yeah, I hate wearing shoes at home, but like obviously if we're gonna go outside, like if we're gonna go to like a Macy's or something, then I do wear sandals. But if I'm like at a park, at a beach, home, I prefer no.
Now, do you know that there are some people I've interviewed who say like they would not take their shoes off at a...
You know, it's actually good for you to take off your shoes and just be with like the ground.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you next about grounding and
that's actually good for you. Yeah, because you're actually getting like the ions
energy,
and the energy.
Everything going back through your body. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's cool. I'm
glad you know that. You know that. Did you know that's a part of reflexology?
No.
Yeah, doing that is a small part of reflexology. Absolutely, because we'll go into it. Get there. All right, so now can we see what your feet look like up close?
Sure.
All right, can you put them up here? All right, and then just tell me what size do you wear first of all?
8.5 to a 9.
8.5 to. Does it vary depending on what type of shoe you're wearing?
What type of shoe and even the brand sometimes.
The brand sometimes, because sometimes they run smaller or bigger. Okay, cool. And now extend your feet out. Let's see the soles, the bottoms.
Oh my God. Okay, this is gonna be. I'm so sorry. I apologize in advance.
So listen, it's all about being impromptu. You don't know I'm gonna do this today, whatever like that. So don't worry about it. So how are you feeling so far during the interview? Leave them out. We're gonna go through a couple more exercises.
So how am I feeling?
How are you feeling so far?
I'm feeling great actually. You have such amazing energy and I love it. You're making me feel comfortable.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So let's talk about the mental health that got me involved in the channel, to create my own channel. I was watching a guy during quarantine and he was talking about DBT. Are you
DBT? Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's Dialectical behavioral therapy. So it's for people who suffer from like anxiety and depression. People who tend to like not live in the moment, like they overthink like situations that they're in. You know,
I should have worn my shirt. I have a shirt that has a cat laying down on its back that says overthinking and always hungry.
Really? Okay. Yeah, so basically these people like they overthink the situations they're presented with. Like they only see like the negative from a situation, like they don't think about positive outcomes. So what therapists prescribe for people who are feeling that is to go out and put yourself in the situations that make you feel uncomfortable. So let's say, for example, you had a fear of approaching strangers, right? They would have you go out and approach strangers, right? Exposure therapy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know it as that. Yeah. Exposure therapy.
So they want you to get used to that uncomfortable feeling, and when you're feeling uncomfortable, to cope with it, right? And you do a self-assessment and ask yourself, what's the worst that's going to happen in this situation, right? Mm-hmm. And if there's not anything that you can find that's like a threat to your life or to your safety, they want you to do the opposite of what you're feeling, right? And so if you're feeling like withdrawing, proceed. Because you could experience like a good event, good moment, things like that. What are your thoughts about DBT and what it is?
I think that is something that I find myself doing a lot too. Okay. And I think it is a very effective way of doing it for someone who does deal with a lot of anxiety or overthinking, because it's like if someone else were to ask you genuinely what would be the worst thing to do, but it's like you're asking yourself and you're looking inward and be like, okay, realistically, what's gonna happen if like for example, if today, what would be the worst thing that would come about me having this interview with you? Like, no, I don't see anything that could really wrong except for maybe me embarrassing myself with my dirty feet. But like, if that's the worst, then that's fine. I can deal with it.
And it's okay because like I've gone up to people and we get dirty. We get sometimes they're at the beach and the sand all over. It's all good because it's impromptu. It's all good. So you think that it's an effective practice, that it could be helpful for a lot of people?
It can be, as long as you're genuinely trying to get better. Because I feel like people try it, but they're not fully invested in it, so it's not gonna work. So then they start thinking again, oh, I knew this wasn't gonna work.
So we go back, revert back. Yeah, absolutely.
You have to like actively be doing it every day.
Exactly.
Versus just like, doing it for 2 weeks and then expect to be cured.
And it's a challenge. Like it's a challenge every day. So let's talk about reflexology. So reflexology deals with like the different pressure points we have in our hands and feet. You have like all these different pressure points and nerve endings, right? These pressure points and nerve endings lead back to parts of your body, and through massage, acupuncture, acupressure, things like that, you can actually like alleviate stress and tension throughout your body.
Because they say too, with certain pressure points or certain massages, if you get it, it can actually help cure blockages or help with a block. Like say, I forget the chakras, but like say your root chakras like clogged. Like if you go to like a professional that knows how to do like the acupuncture, the pressure
it's usually
points.
like a Reiki master or something.
That often helps kind of help with the blockage, and then a lot of things start opening up for you for the same reason.
And even for people who deal with like
migraines
and things like that, there's a portion of your foot that you can massage to like alleviate that tension you feel from that. And these areas are called zones. So like if you ever pull up like a map that's like on the internet, you'll see it like reflexology, and they'll have a whole map of like just different areas that you can like massage and stuff. Yeah. What are your thoughts about that? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's such a unique way that how the body it's made, in the terms is like it has its own natural kind of reset system. So when you look at it like that, it feels kind of awesome.
Because it's just like if you have a computer, right?
Yeah.
Right, and you look at everything that goes like directly from your actual hard drive and connects to like your screen and your mouse and all that stuff. It's like the same like type of mentality. So different things that you do within there affects everything else. So yeah.
Dude, oh my god.
Crazy.
I've been thinking about that all the time too.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So with that being said, now that we're in this portion of the interview, how ticklish are you?
Oh, you tickle me. You better expect to be kicked in the face because I'm that. Especially right here in the arches.
Are you ticklish when you go to like get your nails done and stuff like that?
Not with the massages, but when they scrub my feet.
Okay. I would like to show you a trick. If you let me do the tickling, I'm going to show you a trick that'll help you out with that. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Oh my god.
So let's do it. We're going to do a right to left thing, okay? And I want you to tell me which one is more sensitive. We're going to do it by 5 seconds, okay? Now, the trick that I've learned from some people that they say is try not to think about it too much, right? Just try to focus on something else, okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3. So it's more in the arch, you said, right? Okay, bring it back. Let's see real quick. Not so much at the bottom, right? Not so much here.
Not so much there.
Well, right there. Okay. Let's try your left, and I want you to tell me if this one is more, okay?
Okay. 1,
2, 3. And right in the arch again. Okay, bring it back real quick. Okay, and not so much at the top right there. Okay. Now here's what I want you to try. Wiggle your toes, okay, while I'm doing this. It should be less. Less? It's less. Still, you still feel it, but it's less though, right? All right. Now, do you know why it's less?
I'm guessing because you're actively thinking about moving your toes, and then like the act of actually moving your toes kind of tricks your mind into not focusing.
Yeah. So you're okay?
Yeah.
So because your foot's in motion, you can't pick up on the sensations. Like you said, you're thinking about something else as opposed to like you're focusing on like on being tickled right now. All right. So now put your feet back here and have you try a couple different exercises to see whether you have any pain or discomfort. Okay. Bend your toes over, make a fist, and tell me if you feel any pain or discomfort from that. Is it pretty easy to do? Not too hard. Relax. Okay, spread your toes. Tell me if you feel any pain or discomfort. Is that easy to do? Hard? Easy?
So. Only the pinkies I have a hard time with mainly, but...
Relax. Wiggle your toes about 10 seconds and tell me if you feel any pain or discomfort from that. Nothing? Okay, good. Let's wrap up the interview. In terms of my approach when I came over to you and I asked you to do the interview, was it good? Was it bad? Is there something you think I can work on? What were your thoughts?
No, I feel like you've actually got a pretty good handle on it. Your approach was really like kind, and you were just very sincere, and you were very open about what the interview was. So I feel like just the fact that you gave me all the information that I needed right off the bat made me feel comfortable enough to come and be like, you know what? Mentally, I'm like preparing myself. This is what we're talking about. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but these are the topics.
Yeah.
So I think, just overall, you made me feel really comfortable, and you didn't come off like rude or just you were just good.
I'm glad. Thank you so much. In terms of the interview, right, start to finish, did you see how everything was going in the line? Did it make sense to you? And did you learn anything new?
Yeah, like, because me and my boyfriend, we talk about that a lot, like pressure points and like blockages and grounding. So a lot of the stuff we already talked about, but I just didn't realize it had a name to it. Yeah,
absolutely. So it was like more extended information for you, like kind of reaffirmations for stuff that you already knew. All right, I'm glad. So last thing I have everybody do who does the interview, from a mental health aspect, a life lesson that maybe you learned, some wise words of wisdom that somebody might have said to you, something that could be helpful to the people who watch my channel.
Damn, okay. I might need a minute to think about it.
Oh no, it's cool. Don't worry.
Like a life lesson or...
And it could be the simplest of things, just something that you feel like is effective if people do it, like in terms of like thinking and doing.
I would say just kind of like what we did today. Just put yourself out there. Don't take things personal. Because I have a habit of taking things personal, and that's something constantly people tell me. It's never just you, like. So just people go through a lot of different situations. Just remember to put yourself in their shoes and don't take it personal.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people sometimes when they're not feeling like secure about themselves, they want to like project that on somebody else. So it's very important to not like take everything that somebody says, so importantly. Like just remember who you are. It's
one thing to like take constructive criticism, but it's something else to kind of put people down or like to put your anger on someone else that doesn't deserve it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time to do the interview, and we hope that you have a great one. Okay?
Oh my God, yay!